constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win. Now the 2-1. Line drive to the base. Just as they score the tying run. Green to the plate. And he is safe. Safe at the plate. The Braves go to the World Series.
Have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines that sat when they were children and cheered their heroes.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable!
A 3-run home run for Bucky Dent. The Yankees now lead by a score of 3-2.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mazeroski has hit a 1-0 pitch over the left field fence at Ford Field to win the 1960 World Series.
They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past.
The Pope arrived at Yankee Stadium. As one enthusiastic announcer put it, he is standing on second base.
Reggie Jackson. Long drive right field. It is goodbye. Big World Series.
The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run.
Racker throws. There's a left back. It's going to be, I believe, the Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant.
The 0-1 pitch. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series.
The memories will be so thick, you'll have to brush them away from their faces.
The 1-0 delivery to Fisk. He swings, long drive, left field. If it stays fair, it's gone. Home run. The Red Sox win. And the series is...
Lolich fires. Ball is hit high in the air. This should be the series. Freehand waving everybody away in foul territory. Detroit wins. Here's the pitch to Willie. There's a liner straight to Richardson. The ball game is over and the World Series is over. Willie McCovey hit it like a bullet. A line drive right
Baseball to mark the time.
The Oakland A's take. I'll tell you what, we're having an earth.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Candlestick Park for Game 3 of the 1989 World Series.
It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again.
Frank Robinson, the right-hand batter.
Long drive to left field. Weaver. This is goodbye. Home run.
Base hit loaded, 1 out. Pena in a chance. The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it.
Ozzie with 1 out. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run. And the
Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch, which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
Broadcasted live.
Hey! Who wants to have some fun?
There are balls coming from all over the place. Left field, center field, right field. See, this is the kind of thing, quite honestly, right now, that makes you want to see the Chicago Cubs team lose.
Now, are you just saying you want to have fun, or do you really want to have fun?
It'll be fun.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, or get them out of here. You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
That is the farthest thing in the universe from the truth.
Hello, everyone, live. It's the Dan Scott Show. And right then is your host, Dan Scott.
All right,
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Friday edition of the program. I am your host, Dan Scott. We are very happy to have you with us here on an overcast, rainy type of Friday. It's kind of January's mode of operation. Remember how I told you earlier in the week that January was usually my one blah month of the year? We've had all this frigid, cold weather. And then we have one day of sunshine and 65, and the rest of the time that the temperature has been in the mid-50s to low 60s, it's been raining like this. And now when the rain stops, what's going to happen? The temperatures are going to plummet again. In fact, I think by Wednesday of next week, the anticipated high is only 33 degrees before we start to climb back out of it again towards next weekend. It seems like a long way away right now, doesn't it? But you know what? We will make it work. We are happy to have you with us. Hope that your day is off to a great start. If it is, we'll try not to mess it up. If it's not, then we'll see if we can't do something to provide you a little bit of a lift. And again, as always, each and every day, our goal is to try and learn something we did not know, which, again, is easier for some of us than it is for others. Coming up on today's show, since we were out yesterday, we've got a bit of Furman Hoops recap of the win in Chattanooga on Wednesday night. We'll be joined by Wofford play-by-play voice Mark Hauser to preview tomorrow night's game between the Paladins and the Terriers in Spartanburg. Some other news and notes, and then a little personal thing coming up at the end of the show. But we warned you ahead of time on Wednesday that we probably weren't going to be here yesterday. Got back home, and by the time we got in bed, it was almost 3 a.m. And I thought about rolling out of bed and either trying to come over here or even just walk across the hallway and do my show from my office. But I tapped out. Sleep had the figure 4 on me, and it was way too easy just to give it up and keep doing what I was doing. So, but we're back at it today and looking forward to spending a good hour with you. And then when we're done, just for those of you who subscribe, we'll be recording the next episode of the All Den podcast with Bob Ritchie, the head coach, and I think Jalen Williams is going to be the player guest in our Get to Know You segment. So that will be available later this afternoon if all goes well. But the Paladins coming off of a nice win in Chattanooga against an undermanned UTC team. And we don't say that about the Mocs very often, but it is the case now, especially when you get to game time and find out that McKinday London, their 6'10 star, was not going to play because of an ankle injury he suffered earlier in the week. That did not keep Chattanooga from playing inspired basketball. Furman went up 27-11 and, quite honestly, probably put it into cruise control mode a little bit. And all of a sudden the Mocs come storming back. They got it to within 2. It was a 5-point game at the half. And Furman kept them between 4 and 8 or 9 points for most of the second half until putting a stamp on things, going on a 17-2 run that widened the lead out, and you end up with a final margin of 18 points. So first time that Furman had won in that building since 2010. There were 5 consecutive losses in the Roundhouse, and that place has not been kind to Furman over the years. I believe that's only Furman's 9th win ever in that building. But it was also the first time since the 86-87 season that the Paladins basketball team has opened up 4-0 in conference play, and now you're starting to get into a stretch where the last time they had a start this good in the league, they started 9-0. Well, to do that, it's going to take yeoman's work for Bob Ritchie's club coming up, because the next 4 games in succession are Wofford, that's tomorrow night in Spartanburg, ETSU this coming Thursday, Saturday, Samford. All 3 of those games are at home, and then on the road at Greensboro. So you've beaten 4 teams who, for the moment, I believe are still winless in the league, and now you're going to take on 4 teams who are at the top of the league here in the early portion of the standings. So it's going to be a very, very tough stretch. But you know what? This is a veteran basketball team, and I know they're looking forward to the challenge, especially the one coming up tomorrow night, because that's the next one, right? You got to play the game in front of you. Looking forward to seeing the new facility over there in Spartanburg as well. So we'll talk about that with Mark Hauser coming up. In the next segment, though, we'll hear from head coach Bob Ritchie and Andrew Brown and do a little more recap of Chattanooga before we turn the page and look ahead. Before we get there, just a reminder that our show, as always, is presented by our friends at the Atlanta Bread Company. They are located in Cherrydale Plaza, right down the road from campus here, and they do awesome work with everything that they do. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, hot beverages. If you're into sweets like brownies and giant muffins and baked bread, all kinds of different baked goodies they've got there. It's incredible. It really is. And what else is incredible is the commitment they've made to this show. So please, when you go in, enjoy the food and tell them thank you for the investment they've made in our program. That's the Atlanta Bread Company, Cherrydale Plaza here in Greenville. More about them in this commercial set, and then we will get into our Furman Chattanooga recap on the other side. Dan Scott Show continues right after this.
Hey Furman fans, it's baseball season. Here at Ingalls, we know that as you root for the home team, sometimes you want more than just peanuts and Cracker Jack. And while we do deliver on your favorite ballpark classics, we're proud to offer a packed lineup of everything you need to make your next meal a home run. Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Furman Baseball and the official grocery store of Furman Athletics. Go Dins!
The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point offers a dining experience that will have you coming back for more time and time again. Everything is freshly made on site, including the different varieties of bread and all the baked goodies. And the menu, Atlanta Bread Company offers a wide variety from hot soups and chili to hot and cold sandwiches and paninis. Even breakfast selections topped off with your choice of piping hot coffees. Come see for yourself. You'll love it. The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point, proud sponsors of the Furman Paladins and the Dan Scott Show.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Travelers Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from the famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT unpimmented cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget the gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
Say you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPO Cell Phone Repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today. It's 10:13, and we are back. Dan Scott here with you on this Friday edition of the program, and thank you for tuning in. Do me a favor, if you're watching on Facebook Live right now, go to your timeline, share this video in your timeline as it's happening. Help us grow the audience. Same thing if you're watching via Twitter through Periscope. Retweet the link and just retweet the tweet with the show in it, and help us grow the audience. That's kind of a big deal when you're doing these things, just in case you didn't know. Before we get to the basketball stuff, one thing that was announced yesterday, we talked about Mike Buddy, the athletic director, coming here with a reputation as being a fundraiser, and I don't think he has disappointed in any way, shape, or form, he and his staff. For the second time in just a matter of months, Furman has announced a $1 million endowment for the football program. It's a $1 million gift from an anonymous donor that will establish the John Bagwell Offensive Coordinator Endowment. It's made in honor of the late John Bagwell, who was a standout Paladin running back who unfortunately died in a car accident back in 2003. So what this will do, again, as it goes into the endowment phase, it will provide money, a set amount basically every single year, pretty much forever. And this is the second one of those that's been done, as I said, just in the matter of months. So the football program has gotten some serious financial support here over the last 5 or 6 months, maybe even less than that. And that's going to make a huge difference in what they can do budget-wise, recruiting-wise, hiring coaches. You saw the hiring of Connor Shaw as an assistant coach earlier this week. It helps in all of those kind of things, and I know that that Clay Hendricks is very excited. Everybody around here is excited, and they're hoping that people will continue to do more, join the Paladin Club, and continue to give. But that $1 million gift, anonymous gift, to establish that in the name of the late John Bagwell, just another monumental step forward for this football program. That's some pretty big stuff right there. All right, also some pretty big stuff is the way this basketball team continues to play. And on Wednesday night, it was, as I mentioned, an 18-point win, 73-55 at Chattanooga, snapping a 5-game losing skid in Chattanooga and winning there for the first time since 2010. After the game on the radio, we had a chance to catch up with both head coach Bob Ritchie and with Andrew Brown, who had a 16-point night. But first, let's hear what head coach Bob Ritchie had to say to Tom Van Hoy and I in the aftermath of his team's win. Take a listen. Coach Bob Ritchie exercised a few more demons, hadn't won here since 2010, and another big road win in conference for this club.
Yeah, I've never won here. My 7th year here, and I've never won in this building. So, you know, to come in here and get a win was another thing to check off the list for this group. They continue to do things for the first time in a while, and just proud of them. You know, you're on the road. It's never pretty. But, you know, we did what we had to do down the stretch again to make sure we closed out this game and really ended up being a comfortable margin. Didn't necessarily feel like that, you know, after we before halftime. I thought we got a little sloppy. But, again, you know, when the time got tight, you know, this team came together and notched up the intensity a little bit and started playing a little bit more connected on offense and got some easy scores.
I thought they got after it, Coach. It was 49-46. The crowd got back into the – and you've always talked about it. Hey, it's 40 minutes. The people are going to make – teams are going to make runs, and their crowd got back into the ball game. Anything specifically you talked about when it was 49-46?
No, you know, all night, first of all, they were really getting us on some ball screen actions in the middle of the floor. And we changed up a coverage about at the 8-minute mark that I thought, you know, kept them out of the paint a little bit better. We weren't quite as aggressive. We went a little bit more conservative, but we were able to keep the ball in front a little bit better. But, you know, I'll tell you this, Jordan Lyons, his defensive intensity was incredible in that game. And for where he's come defensively, for the amount of effort and the amount of will he's putting in on the defensive end, he was a huge piece of that stretch. Andrew Brown was a huge piece of that stretch. They really all were. JD's 3 in the corner was, you know, that took it from 3 to 6 and, you know, just opened it up a little bit. And I think there were a lot of things you could point to in that run.
You know, defensively overall, you played well. There was that stretch you were talking about before you made the adjustments. Really the first time, I made the comment during the game since Winthrop, that we saw a couple of guards be able to, with some consistency, put the ball on the floor and dribble drive to the basket for layups, but you found a way to shut it off.
Yeah, we did. You know, they basically, as you saw, I mean, they played 4 guards all night, and they did a good job driving some of our guys. I didn't think that we had the court as shrunk as we needed to. I thought we were a little bit too worried about our own guys, and we talked about that at halftime. But, you know, in the swing offense, they do a good job of moving bodies. You can't really just sit in your gaps, and you got to deal with that movement as your guys cutting and screening and still give support. And once we were able to get that short up late, I thought we were much better.
Symmetry between Andrew Brown and Matt Rafferty was was excellent tonight. I kind of joking during the broadcast, Andrew Brown may have had more layups tonight than he's had all season long.
Well, and he did. Matt scored a bunch of layups. I thought that really is what saved us. I mean, we didn't shoot it great from three, 7 for 22, but we were 55% overall. So from 2, we had to. I mean, you have to think it's mid to middle 60s, and I thought we got a lot of layups. Didn't get to the free throw line as much as we would like, and but fortunately we kept them off the free throw line. Both teams just shot 7 free throws. But they really sloughed it. They really sloughed it hard. They tried to keep it all in front. They helped with their 5 a good bit, which is why Matt got those 2 perimeter shots late. But, again, game of adjustments, but we found a way.
Coach McKinley London plays 6'10", good player for them. 1 of 2 in the SoCon and in the top 10 and scoring and rebounding. At what point did you know that? I mean, your game preparation probably provided. How did that change what you wanted to do?
Well, we didn't find out till right before the game, but I'll be honest with you, as a coach, that's not always good news. Sometimes teams rally behind that, and especially, I mean, we saw it, right? When all these guys were freshmen, Steven went out that one game versus Wofford, the last game of the year, and we dang near beat them at the house, and then, went into the conference tournament with some momentum. So sometimes you think that, that just absolutely decimates a group, but sometimes guys rally around that. They get more of a role. They know they have to play a little bit more connected. And so I've seen that both ways, but we found out a little bit before the game. And to be honest with you, sometimes when you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds, they don't always handle that the best. And Chattanooga did a great job tonight making a run when we got up in the first half. I don't know what the lead was.
Yeah.
But I felt like we really relaxed right there. I felt like we got a little sloppy offensively. We didn't get in our offense, and then they started driving us. And I felt like for us, it looked like one of those moments, hey, this is going to be easy. Mm-hmm. And then the next thing you know, we're in a little bit of a scrap.
Yeah, I got to talk a little bit about Devin because he did not have a great offensive night, 3 of 11. But, again, showing what kind of player he is, led everybody tonight in rebounds with 10, also had a couple of assists, a block, and a steal in 33 minutes. So many ways this kid can affect the game.
Yeah, they really crowded him hard, and people are sending multiple defenders at him quickly and then getting back, and they're just trying to slow him down. They're trying to make him a little bit less aggressive. And, he was taking some shots in transition that if he makes, he gets going like we've seen him before. But when he misses them, sometimes he gets hard on himself. And they did a good job keeping him outside of the A level, or what we call the A level, right around the rim in the charge circle. They kept him off the free throw line for the most part, except in the first half. He had those 2. But Devin's a great player. He's just got to keep his poise and just understand. Let the offense work. Don't try to go make everything happen. Just let it come to you. And I thought he was better down the stretch.
I still love the way he found other ways to affect the game.
Well, his rebounding was phenomenal. I mean, he went in there and he rebounded down really, really well, and that's something we need. Is our guys with Andrew and Matt down there just holding off. Our guards got to go down there and clean it up, and I thought he did a great job of that. And his defense was pretty good down the stretch too. I thought we made an adjustment at halftime. We took JD off their point guard. We put Devin on their point guard to put a little bit more length on him. And for the most part, Devin did a really, really good job on him.
When you forced 11 turnovers in the second half, and we kind of look at the numbers there, 19-2 advantage for Furman, points off turnovers in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we talked about at halftime, and in not such a kind way. We had forced 3 in the first half, and that's just not good enough. That's not. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You've got to have some more intensity on the defensive end of that, and we'll get it right. I think it's something we try to learn in everything. We try to learn in wins. We try to learn in losses, and we can't let our guard down. I mean, and look, it happens. It happens all across the country. I'm sure it happened a time or 2 or 3 tonight across the country. But with our old group and our leaders, we got to fight every single night to play to our standard, regardless of the distractions and the circumstances.
Hey, it's okay. This is an old building. It's not the first time the paint's peeled in here.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Bob, thank you, man. Congratulations again. All right, there you go. That's head coach Bob Ritchie from the win over Chattanooga. Very quickly before we go to break, Andrew Brown, as I mentioned, had 16 points in the win, played very, very well. We had him for a couple of minutes as well. Here's what Andrew had to say. That was Andrew Brown, 16 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal in 30 minutes. And as we were joking earlier, probably shot more layups tonight and made more layups tonight than he has all season long. Congratulations, young man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You and Matt Rafferty seem to be on a great wavelength together.
Yeah, I mean, me and Matt are always together. He's my roommate, so I guess we have a little bit of a bond there. But Matt's he's just a great player to play with. He sees the floor so well, and if you cut to the basket, he's going to find you. I think he leads our team in assists and assist-to-turnover ratio in the conference. So,
yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Really impressive for a big man. I mean, it's a real pleasure to play with him on the court. It just makes everyone better.
Let's talk about the start. You guys are ready to play. You got out 27-11.
Yeah, we started well. They had a few players out that we weren't expecting, which was interesting, but we started well. We lulled in the middle for a while there. Our defensive intensity just dropped. They were getting way too many easy drives. But near the end, we kind of corrected it. We had a good last 8 minutes and closed out the game.
Yeah, I was joking with Bob Ritchie during the break before his segment with us in the postgame. It seems like it's not a Furman game now if there's not a 17-something run, and we closed out. Well, didn't close it out, but it was a 46-43 game, and then we go on a 17-2 run to take control of it again. What changed in that time frame?
Just our defense. We hit a few shots to help it out, but it was on the defensive end for us tonight. Like I said, early in the game they were just getting whatever they wanted to the basket. I think Chapman was getting there off the pick and roll just every time. Once we really stepped up we go on that run. It starts with our defense for us. When you play defense, you usually play well on offense. Just how it works.
Do you guys change much? I mean, you had a 16-point lead, whittled down to 2, then it was a 3-point game. I mean, you guys are experienced. You think, okay, now we need to buckle down and get it done here.
We don't try to do that. I wouldn't say that. It definitely is eye-opening, though, when it's a close game. You don't think it should be. But I don't think we change. It's something you should have every time you step on the court, and we don't always have that. And that's something we got to correct.
Well, the one thing, too, you got your points tonight, double figures as well for Matt Rafferty, 17 and 16 respectively there. A lot of different people can score for this team.
Oh, we have so many weapons. That's the thing about it. That's why I'm saying it's so much on defense, because we don't really have to worry about offense. We have 7 or 8 guys any given night can go out there and get double digits, which is just a luxury to have. So we don't really worry about our offense. It really is all on the defense for us.
All right, so you're one in a building that you haven't won in a long time. Had lost 5 straight games here. Now you're going to a building you've never played in.
Yeah.
On Saturday at Spartanburg. The old place hadn't been too kind to us, but this is a new building. But we know that Wofford wins again tonight over Harvard, 63-62. We know they're going to do what they do. It's going to be another battle.
Yep. Wofford's a great team. It's going to be a hostile environment. We got to be ready to go in there and play well. We're really looking forward to it, though. Really looking forward to it.
All right, Andrew, thank you. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
All right, that's Andrew Brown, and that's your recap of Furman's win over Chattanooga on Wednesday. Quick word about Hall's Chop House, located downtown Greenville, the Greenville Steakhouse, coming up hopefully sometime next week. We'll be doing a live show from Hall's Chop House one evening when everything is jumping down there, and kind of introducing, if you haven't seen much about the place. So first of all, why not? What's going on? But I want to introduce you to them and introduce you to the Allen Brothers Prime Steak that they have there as well. So just keep an ear open for that. We'll be making that announcement as soon as Billy and I set the official date and go from there. It's Hall's Chop House, located in downtown Greenville, the Greenville Steakhouse. Off to break we go, and we'll come back. Mark Hauser will join us, the play-by-play voice of the Wofford Terriers. That's coming up next here on the Dan Scott Show. Don't go away.
Stuck in a state of falling behind? Struggling to keep up with your kids, finances, insurance? Then let State Farm agent Steve Borkland in Traveler's Rest help you simplify and get to a better state. Because with Steve handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time for everything else. More money, too, because adding State Farm policies could mean earning discounts worth up to 40%. That's money Steve can help you put towards a college savings plan. Call State Farm agent Steve Borkland today and get to a better state with State Farm.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's a new Montgomery Inn Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at CincyFavorites.com.
The madness begins here. Make sure you're at the U.S. Cellular Center in Asheville, North Carolina, March 1st through 5th for the 2018 SoCon Basketball Championships presented by General Shale. Watch your favorite SoCon teams compete for a championship and a berth in the NCAA tournament, and take part in exciting events like the Downtown Dribble and the Ingles Jam Fest. Book your travel and tickets by logging on to SoConHoops.com or by contacting the U.S. Cellular Center box office. The madness begins in Asheville. Get your tickets today.
It is 10:29, and we're back here on this Friday edition of the program. I'm Dan Scott. Good to have you with us. A lot of stuff going on. We've been concentrating mostly on Furman basketball, and well, when you got momentum rolling in the right direction, let's just keep going down that road. Paladin's off to a 4-0 start, and beginning a fairly brutal 4-game stretch that we'll see in succession over the course of about the next 10 days. Wofford, ETSU, Samford, and Greensboro pop up on the schedule. The first of those games is tomorrow night in Spartanburg in the brand new Terrier Palace on campus there. Furman and Wofford renewing the rivalry for the first time basketball-wise this year. And Mark Hauser, the very fine and longtime play-by-play voice of the Terriers, joining us here on the show. Mark, how you doing, man?
Good, Dan. Good morning. Boy, that's a nasty stretch of games for Furman. Boy, you say it out loud, I'm like, whoa. That's a tough 4-game run you guys are about to run through.
Yeah, well, the good thing is everybody else in the league has to go through something like that too. So,
true,
you know,
true.
But yeah, when you do say it out loud, you say, well, should I have said that? But
yeah, I mean, the league, I think the league is as balanced and competitive, especially the top 5 or 6 teams as we have seen in a long, long time.
Yeah. You know, there's a very cynical view you could take on the question that I'm going to ask you right now. We'll stay away from that particular view publicly anyway, take the high road. But are you surprised at the success ETSU has had considering everything they lost?
No, I'm not. And one of the reasons is that, well, the primary reason is Steve Forbes. I think he's an outstanding coach. You look at everywhere he has been successful. You even go back to his time as a junior college coach. I think it was in Florida. He had 2 years at a program down there where he went 51-6 before making the jump to the NCAA. He's an outstanding coach. And Dan, you know, when he was in college, he played for a program, I think it was an NAIA school, where the school nickname was the Mule Riders. I'm not going to tangle with a mule rider, are you?
Well, no. Well, at least the mule is stubborn. I don't know about Steve himself, but that's the way it goes.
And now, the other point to make about ETSU is, and this is the way Steve Forbes recruits, and I'm not going to go deep into the politics of it, but the guy is a master at bringing in transfers who drop down from Power 65 schools who turn out to play pretty well at the SoCon level. He'll bring in a JUCO like a TJ Cromer when he needs to. That provides instant spark. I mean, he knows how to put a roster together. With the exception of a fellow like DeJounte Bradford, who is their very fine point guard, he's very comfortable cycling players in every 2 years. And if that's your MO and you're good at it, I guess keep doing it. It's working for him.
Well, whatever it is, they're at the top of the league. They had a big win over Greensboro last night, as a matter of fact, in the rematch of the SoCon championship game from a year ago. So you're right. The top half of this league, again, is going to be a battle night in and night out. And Mark, it's just another indication of the strength of this league. In the last 3 or 4 seasons, we've seen the league's overall RPI make a significant jump, and it's due to the balance and the depth that we have night in and night out.
I agree. There are 5 or 6, maybe even 7 teams that can run through the tournament. And let's face it, when it comes down to it, it's all about the tournament. Because this is still a one-bid league. I think there's a hope in the SoCon office that this league will get to the point where it's some some unspecified year in the future. Somehow it's a two-bid affair for the SoCon. Right now, it's not there yet. But I think someday they'd like to be in that position. I'll offer a suggestion: quit playing the Montreats of the world and beef up your overall schedule. But that's just my personal opinion.
Why am I hearing the strands of "In the Year 2525" in my head? At some,
I don't.
Zager and Evans joining us here on the program today.
Zager and Evans. Are we doing one-hit wonders?
You know what? At this juncture in my life, Mark, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. Hey,
are you using Paper Lace for your bump music? I mean, are we that far down the road?
Red Rubber Ball, whatever I have to get to. Hey, let's talk about your Terriers, who, oh, by the way, are playing well even without Eric Garcia running the point. I guess you guys couldn't sign him to another contract. It seemed like he was there for forever. He was there forever and was a dagger, and to everybody that he played. What a fine young man and a heck of a player. But you also have this guy still around, Fletcher McGee and Cam Jackson and the cast of characters. What's been the thing that's made this Terrier team so effective at this juncture of the season?
Well, the easy answer up until about 2 or 3 games ago is Fletcher McGee scoring 25, 30 points each and every night out. But what has happened, and I saw this happen years ago when Wofford had a scorer named Ian Chadwick. Now, Ian wasn't quite the player that Fletch is. I mean, Fletch is midway through his junior year, and he's already 15th all-time or 16th all-time in scoring in school history. But what's beginning to happen is defenses are really paying attention to Fletch like he's never seen in his career. He's getting bumped. He's getting held. He's getting chucked. He's getting his jersey grabbed. The other night against Harvard, I mean, the whole gym saw a Harvard defender simply grab a handful of jersey, and he still, managed to score 19 points. But the rest of the team now has to step up. And, Fletch was able to overcome a bad shooting night. He was 3 of 13 from 3, but he compensated. Okay, you know what? I don't have my shot. They're jamming me every time I try to cut open. Let's go get some rebounds. He had 7. Let's pass the ball. He had 4 assists and no turnovers. So he is trying to expand his game. And what the Terriers have working for them, Dan, is Trevor Stump is, over the last 4 or 5 games, averaging about 15 per. He's been a tremendous find for this team, a guy who basically missed the first year and a half of his career with a variety of injuries. Has played extremely well. He's a 6'5" guy who can stretch the floor as a 4-man. He's been very good. The Storm Murphy, you talked about Eric Garcia at the point. Yes, you're right. Eric graduated, and we couldn't get him the seldom used 5th year for people who have already played 4. So he had to leave. And Storm Murphy is a freshman point guard who is giving Wofford about 24, 25 minutes a night. His assist-to-turnover numbers are good, and he's starting to score. He's got a nice outside stroke. He's not afraid to drive the lane. He is learning on the job and doing very, very well. And then Cam Jackson inside, he's been a little up and down. The other night from Harvard, he got schooled by a guy named Chris Lewis, whose father is Mo Lewis and played in the NFL, and Chris plays basketball like he's in the NFL. He was just a man inside. And Cam didn't have a great night, but Cam can be dominating on the glass. I think tomorrow night, him against Matt Rafferty is going to be a fantastic matchup. But you put those pieces together to go with Fletch, who's one of the top 10 scorers in the nation, and you've got the makings of a pretty good team. Mike Young would like to see them play better defense, especially defending the perimeter, but he thinks that'll come down the road.
Couple things come to mind as you were talking there. One, all it'll take is Furman showing up, and Cam Jackson's eyes will light up huge. He had 2 monster games against the Paladins a year ago. And then listening to you talk about what Fletcher McGee is facing, and you could just take his name out of there in the same paragraph and plug in Devin Sibley's name, and you've got the same results, because as the reigning player of the year, Devin is seeing the same thing, running guys at him, double teams, clutching, grabbing, holding, all of the things that teams do to try to stop him. And to his credit, although you can see sometimes the frustration offensively, the other night against Chattanooga, for instance, he had a game-high 10 rebounds. He still finds other ways to affect the game, and especially with his perimeter defense. So it's intriguing. When people know you can play, they tend to try to find ways to stop you.
Sure. I liken it to a baseball player, Dan. You ever see the baseball player that strikes out on a bad pitch and then goes out into the field and boots a routine ground ball because he was still thinking about the at-bat? Instead of thinking, I've got to help my team win the game, buckle down, play defense, I'll get another at-bat later. That's probably what Fletch and Sibley are going through right now. Okay, they've targeted me. They're going to try to limit my looks. My scoring may go down. I don't want to force shots, so let's go get more rebounds. Let's make better passes. Let's play better defense. I think, I like the way you put the two together because there are parallels there.
Are you surprised, at least in the early going, that Wofford hasn't missed Garcia more?
A little bit, but, and you know what? Let me say this. They missed Eric desperately the first 4 or 5 games of the year. Wofford went up to UNC Asheville, and Asheville's a very good team. They've been picked to win the Big South. Dan, Wofford went up there in November before Storm Murphy was fully comfortable at the point. It was a 4-point deficit at the half. With 13 minutes to go in the game, Wofford was down 30. And it was like, we went to commercial break. I turned to Tom Hintz. I said, what in the world just happened? But Wofford just didn't get great point play that day. Among other things, Asheville is very talented. Macy O'Teague is a great player. Mm-hmm. But that being said, Storm has rounded into form, and now Wofford is missing Garcia less. And Storm's starting to score a little more. He's been in double figures his last 2-3 games. On top of that, Mike Young has a lot of confidence in the backup point guard, Donovan Thiemlove. That's a hyphenated last name. We just call him DTL. But he'll give Wofford 10, 12, sometimes 14 minutes. He's not going to score a bunch, but he's a 3-assist, 1 turnover kind of reserve point guard, and he's pretty steady out there. So, while you do miss Eric Garcia and his leadership, some other things have been able to overcome that, and Murphy and Thiemlove are part of that.
We are visiting with Mark Hauser, the play-by-play voice of the Wofford Terriers here on the program. Furman and Wofford tomorrow night in Spartanburg. Back on December 20th, on a night that Furman almost and should have, by all rights, knocked off the number 20 team in the country, Tennessee, in Knoxville, Wofford did turn the trick at North Carolina. That has to be one of the highlights of your broadcasting career as well as the playing career of those young men.
Yeah, we beat Johnson and Wales in basketball earlier in the year, Dan, and that was a big deal. But going up to Chapel Hill.
Wait, Mark. The Johnson and Wales win just whetted your appetite for what was to come. Exactly.
Yes, my brother's a Johnson and Wales graduate, so the dude can cook an omelet like nobody's business.
Yeah, exactly.
I love him.
Right. And
but
on and on.
No, I saw the tweets after the game. I'm not on Twitter anymore because it's a cesspool, but I saw some people, other people showed me tweets after the game how Wofford did something Clemson has done in 6 decades and all this cool stuff. But yes, it was. I think the way to sum up the broadcast was this, and having a chance to call a game like that for the visiting radio crew was maybe 10, 12, 14 seconds left. Derek Brooks goes to the line for Wofford and knocks down a couple of free throws to stretch the lead to 2 or maybe even 3 possessions. And I turned to Henson, and on the air, I just kind of looked at him and said, dude, this is really happening.
Yeah.
and that was, it was pretty raw on my part. I just said, Wofford is about to win in Chapel Hill in the Dean Dome. The only thing that could have been more surreal was if they moved the game to Carmichael. And the ghost of Michael Jordan were in the arena. It was incredible. Wofford played tenacious lockdown defense all night. Now, North Carolina didn't shoot well, and North Carolina did some things that were uncharacteristically sloppy for them, some unforced turnovers. But give the Terriers credit. They took advantage of those things. And Fletcher McGee didn't have a great shooting night. He was 4 of 12, but he still managed to top 20 points. Cam Jackson had a couple of huge plays on the defensive end. He finished with 6 blocks, Dan, and took a charge in the final minute from Joel Berry that helped seal it. The Terriers just played well, and as far as the excitement of it and getting to call a game like that courtside, that's one of those. I've got a few Terrier memories in the bank. That's top 1 or 2 right there.
Yeah, I can imagine. Tell us about the new arena.
Well, you'll see it tomorrow. It's pretty nice. The sight lines are good for the fans. When you pack it in, it gets very, very loud. Wofford beat Georgia Tech on a last-second shot by Fletcher McGee, and the place shook. It was so loud. So even though the Ben Johnson Arena is no longer in use, and the Benjo could be a tough place for visiting teams to come and play, this place is equally electric with all the bells and whistles. You'll see the video screens and the ribbon board. The video presentation they make before the game is really cool. It's nice. It's really nice. I think you'll enjoy working there. I think the Paladins will enjoy playing there. Wofford has kept the parquet floor, which of course was one of the signatures of the old Benjo. But it's a great place to come to work every game. I'll say that.
Yeah, I don't care about any of the other bells and whistles. I just want to know what the working conditions are. That's all that matters to me. You know that.
Well, you'll have a nice. We have kept radio on the. Unlike a lot of other folks who have opened up new arenas, we have kept radio on the floor, and I give our athletic administration a lot of credit for that. They didn't put us upstairs or, behind a basket like a lot of these folks are doing, so donors can, have more seats available courtside. They put us where we used to be, and I appreciate them for that.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I mean, these games, as the Furman program has been ascending to where it got to a year ago and sharing a bit of the league title, a piece of the league title, these games have become more and more intense night in and night out, and I'm looking forward to it. I think people sometimes mistakenly think that the only good basketball is played at the upper levels. I would suggest that they give games like this a look.
Oh, absolutely. And tell you what, if you're going to give a game like this a look and you want to do it in person, you better get your tickets now. I'm understanding from the Wofford ticket folks that this will be a sellout tomorrow night. So if you're a Furman fan and you're listening in Greenville right now, and you want a ticket, call the Wofford ticket department, the ticket office, as soon as possible. I'm 90% certain this is going to be a sellout.
And we're looking forward to it. Mark, thanks so much for the time, and look forward to returning the favor this afternoon.
All right, Dan, good to talk to you.
All right, buddy. That is Mark Hauser, the very fine play-by-play voice of the Wofford Terriers. As we go out to break, a word about OpSource staffing. 5 branches, one here in Greenville, also in Spartanburg, Gaffney, Charleston, and one in Arden, North Carolina. They provide contractors to companies in the manufacturing business, all sorts of jobs all across that spectrum. It's an independent, faith-based, privately held staffing, recruiting, and workforce management company that began in 2007 with a mission to serve and connect great people to great companies. And with OpSource, it's all about the relationship, not the transaction. They believe that by building relationships, they'll become an integral part of your overall staffing experience. Call today to find out how OpSource Staffing can streamline your contract workforce for the better. OpSource Staffing, toll-free, 866-870-8133, 866-870-8133, or online at opsourcestaffing.com. All right, one final break. We will come back with some news and notes and get you set for tomorrow night's broadcast in Spartanburg as the Dan Scott Show continues right after this. Don't go away.
Hey, Furman fans, it's baseball season. Here at Ingalls, we know that as you root for the home team, sometimes you want more than just peanuts and Cracker Jack. And while we do deliver on your favorite ballpark classics, we're proud to offer a packed lineup of everything you need to make your next meal a home run. Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Furman Baseball and the official grocery store of Furman Athletics. Go Dins!
The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point offers a dining experience that will have you coming back for more time and time again. Everything is freshly made on site, including the different varieties of bread and all the baked goodies. And the menu, Atlanta Bread Company offers a wide variety from hot soups and chili to hot and cold sandwiches and paninis. Even breakfast selections topped off with your choice of piping hot coffees. Come see for yourself. You'll love it. The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point, proud sponsors of the Furman Paladins and the Dan Scott Show.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's a new Montgomery Inn Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at CincyFavorites.com.
The madness begins here. Make sure you're at the U.S. Cellular Center in Asheville, North Carolina, March 1st through 5th for the 2018 SoCon Basketball Championships presented by General Shale. Watch your favorite SoCon teams compete for a championship and a berth in the NCAA tournament and take part in exciting events like the Downtown Dribble and the Ingalls Jam Fest. Book your travel and tickets by logging on to SoConHoops.com or by contacting the U.S. Cellular Center box office. The madness begins in Asheville. Get your tickets today.
.10:50 and down the stretch we come. Final segment of the show, final segment of the week, and roar goes up from the crowd because they're all excited. This is the last time until Monday, at least on the show, that you have to hear from this crazy guy. Our thanks to Mark Hauser for joining us, spending the time with us, and we look forward to getting up and seeing their brand new facility coming up tomorrow night here in Spartanburg. Quick word about Ridge Media. You see the logo there on the screen. One-stop shop based in Greenville that does logo, print, and website design, as well as search engine optimization and marketing. Clients range from startups to Fortune 500 companies, and they're a locally owned marketing firm with offices in Greenville and in Charleston. Call today to schedule a free consultation. That is Ridge Media, and where did they go? Here they are, 864-354-6175, 864-354-6175, and as always, when you call and talk to them or anyone else, please be sure that you tell them you heard about them here on the program. Something that caught my attention completely off of the scale of what we have been talking about here. You know, the Raiders as a NFL franchise have always kind of considered themselves to be the bad boys. Al Davis, when he was alive, was always at odds with the NFL. And now, apparently, current Raiders ownership may be in Dutch with the NFL again, this time for violation of the league's Rooney Rule. NFL's investigating whether or not the Raiders interviewed any minority candidates before announcing the hiring of John Gruden as their new head coach, 10 years and $100 million. The Raiders said they interviewed minority candidates, but now the NFL's investigating to see if they actually did that and if there was a violation. The one of the issues is that Gruden himself has been a little, the word used in the story is coy, about how long he's actually been on board as far as coming back to the NFL and coaching the Raiders. He did say that he had been talking to Raider ownership for a few weeks. The Raiders confirmed leading up to the press conference that they interviewed tight ends coach Bobby Johnson as well as USC offensive coordinator T. Martin for the job prior to hiring John Gruden. But right now, questions remain whether they actually did that or if that was enough. So NFL's investigating. John Gruden will not be removed as the head coach of the Raiders. I can promise you that. But the Raiders could be fined, could be docked draft choices if the league finds out that they did in some way, shape, or form circumvent the Rooney Rule. So just kind of keep that in mind a little bit. I know the NFL has not been on the radar of as many of you as possible, but the Gruden coming out of the booth was a big piece of news, especially with the contract that he received, and now the Raiders are under NFL investigation. So we'll keep an eye on it and see what happens. Outside of that, it's pretty much going to wrap things up. We have, obviously, basketball tomorrow in Spartanburg, 7 o'clock tip time, 6:30 airtime. Tom Van Oy and I will have the call for you, Furman and Wofford, as the Paladins try to go 5-0 in conference play and win their 13th game of this season. But it's going to be difficult, obviously, because the Terriers are playing well. And again, this is the beginning of a brutal stretch for the Paladins. These next 4 games, 2 road games with 2 home games in the middle, at Wofford, then ETSU and Sanford at home next week, and then at Greensboro the following week. 4 consecutive games against teams at the top of this league, and all 4 of them should be absolute battles. And that's what makes this so much fun, to go into these arenas night in and night out and see high-quality basketball played and see games coming down to the wire. That's one of the reasons that I #love my job. All right, as we get set to say goodbye, if you'll indulge me for a moment, if you were listening to the broadcast on Wednesday night, I spent just a couple of minutes at the end of the broadcast saying a few words about my uncle. Just about 2.5 hours prior to the game Wednesday, I got a call from my brother, and as it turned out, my uncle, my dad's only sibling, was killed in an explosion in his house on Wednesday afternoon. It has, as you might imagine, sent the family into shock and devastation. This is a picture of my dad. He's on the right, and my uncle in the maroon coat on the left. This was taken just 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know whose thumb that is that's in the picture. But those two, well, as only siblings to one another, you can imagine that they had been through quite a bit growing up. My uncle was 2 years older than my dad. He was 71 when he died. My dad will turn 70 later this month, so actually not even quite 2 years fully between the two of them. He was a great man in my eyes. He played on the last high school state football championship that my now defunct high school ever won, all the way back in 1961. Loved sports. Grew up, as did my dad, in Williamson, West Virginia. Then he would move later to Logan, West Virginia, which was about 30 miles away, establish a family business that he, my dad, and my grandfather all worked in for a number of years. My grandfather passed back in 1997. And my dad eventually went on to another job, but for a good long stretch, the three of them worked together there and shared, as you always do, shared a lot of ups and downs, both personally and professionally. But the one thing about it, the brotherhood bond was always there, and for those of us in our family, just about everybody in my family is a believer. My uncle came to know Jesus as his Savior back in the early 1980s, so we're all comforted in knowing that he was ready to go. But I tell you, it serves as a reminder that you never know. You absolutely never know. I mean, he was going about his business just like always, and then just that quick, in a flash, his life was gone. We take some comfort in the fact that it appears he never knew what hit him. There was no suffering. It was instantaneous. But the blast was so powerful that it knocked the entire front of the house out. And as I said, he was just going about his business, another routine day, and nothing to indicate that in one fraction of a second his life was going to be gone. And I think that's something that we all need to take consideration of, because you just never know. You absolutely never know. So instead of closing out the show today with music or anything else, I'm just going to close it out with a little bit of a moment of silence and remembering my uncle Cecil Scotty Scott, who passed away Wednesday at age 71. Sometime next week, I'll be going to West Virginia for the funeral, so we'll be missing a show or two next week. I hope you'll understand. But until then, I will see you tomorrow night for basketball in Spartanburg. So long, everybody.